Continuing from the previous episode 910. Squeak. A slight push on the door slowly sounded from the entrance of the 7th floor of the underground palace, and then 6 figures slowly appeared. These 6 figures are obviously dominated by Ling Mengsheng, the 2 old people of heaven and earth, Xuan Lao, Mu Shuji and Zan Mukching. The 6 of them had just stepped into the 7th floor of the underground palace, and suddenly felt dark in front of them. In this dark place, they couldn't help but feel a sense of fear, and in front of everyone, an extremely gloomy cold wind hit. The weakest of the 6 is also the 8-star Do Di. This gloomy cold wind can make everyone shudder, which is enough to see how unusual this gloomy and cold wind is. It's just that as the 6 people stepped into the 7th floor of the underground palace, the void trembled slightly, and it was obvious that Fen Tian and Zhu Lao also poured in. Be careful, in the 7th floor of the underground palace, there is always a feeling that something is bad for me. It seems that besides this guy, there are other strong people. Fen Tian had just stepped into the 7th floor of the underground palace, and immediately Zhu Jin, who was hidden in the formation, said. With Fen Tian's powerful power, naturally, he didn't need to blow dust, but he found Elder Zan who was already lurking in the 7th floor of the underground palace, waiting for them. Zhu Jin nodded immediately upon hearing this. He also felt an extremely tyrannical pressure, and this pressure did not come from the strong man in front of him, but from the depths of the underground palace. Strange, just these few people. I clearly felt that something else poured in when they stepped into the door. Dark night ghosts hid in the dark, and their breath was perfectly restrained, so that no one could check them, and then spoke slightly. It seems that something strange has come in. It's interesting now. On the other side, the Dark Night Ghost Immortal hidden in the 7th floor of the underground palace also opened his mouth slightly, and his slender fingers slightly curved in a graceful arc under the cover of darkness, full of danger. This is the 7th floor of the underground palace? Ling Mengsheng's 6 people just rushed into the 7th floor of the underground palace, and immediately glanced around. In the 7th floor of this underground palace, just stepping in, it will give everyone a very tyrannical pressure. I am afraid that the strong guard here will be an extremely tyrannical existence. Clang! With a sound, the stone gate that everyone stepped into was also heavily closed. This. Mu Shuji couldn't help but be surprised when he saw this. Don't worry. At this time, as the leader of the 6 people, Ling Mengsheng naturally wanted to show his aura, and immediately stood directly above the team, trying his best to be vigilant around him. Why is she here? At this time, Elder Zan, who was sitting above the Black River, suddenly saw Zan Mukching. As for Zan Mukching, Elder Zan still quite likes it. If it wasn't for his younger brother who died early, I'm afraid this guy would be a rare force in the Xuanling royal family today. Fortunately for Zan Mukching, if it wasn't for the fall of his father and the royal family of Xuanling giving up on him, I'm afraid he would never have met Ling Mengsheng. Alas! And Zan Mukching's gaze seemed to have spotted Elder Zan, but he sighed slightly. This side is his uncle, the other side is his husband. Zan Mukching is also extremely difficult to choose, even if this so-called uncle does not help him much, but the family love that is thicker than water is and the blood flows slowly. Xuan Lao is the father of the current king Xuanling, and Zan Mukching is not Xuan Lao's daughter, because she is the daughter of Xuan Lao's younger brother, so Xuan Lao is naturally Zan Mukching's uncle. The space here seems to have extremely tyrannical signs of suppressing the power of life and death in the body. At this time, due to Elder Zan's restraint to hide his aura, everyone did not find that Elder Zan who was not far away. What caught everyone's eyes was a rock, and under the rock, turbulent water flowed slowly. Listening to the sound of the water flowing, it made them feel in a trance. Moreover, the most surprising thing for everyone is that these seemingly different rocks seem to be lined up, like a formation. It's just that because it's too dark here, even Zhu Jin didn't notice it. Fire! Ling Mengsheng looked at the darkness around him and his vision was blocked, and then he slowly opened his mouth and said something. At that time, a dazzling flame would directly illuminate the place. With the appearance of light, the appearance of the 7th floor of the underground palace suddenly appeared. In terms of preparation, this should be an underground river. The underground river flows in a north-south direction, and the water is all weirdly black. The surrounding walls surrounding the underground river are actually thousands of feet in size, so the space here is extremely empty. It's just that when everyone looked at the river in midair, a man was covered in a silver-white robe, and the robe was inlaid with gold threads, and the old man opened his pupils at this time. Those who break into the underground palace. Death. As soon as he opened his eyes, a gloomy aura like an abyss demon suddenly burst out. Peeved. Facing the terrifying aura, the weak Mu Shuji actually spewed out a mouthful of blood from the shock. And Zan Muqing, who also has the same strength as the 8-star Do Di, would probably be the same as Mu Shuji if he wasn't under the protection of Ling Mengsheng. This guy. Seeing this, Ling Mengsheng's eyelids kept beating, but his eyes suddenly stopped when he looked at the old man's face. The previous King Xuanling of the Xuanling royal family? Elder Zan? At this time, Tian Lao directly exclaimed. The voice was full of shock. The previous Xuanling King Xuanling of the Xuanling royal family had retired for hundreds of years. When he retired back then, it was said that his strength was at the half-immortal level. After hundreds of years, his strength has soared to such a terrifying level. According to the breath just released, I am afraid that he is a real fighting immortal powerhouse, and his strength is undoubtedly much stronger than the Dong Zan he just dealt with. The two elders of the Burning Incense Pavilion. Qingyan, the deputy head of the Tiandian Temple. Location Hall Master Ling Mengsheng. Mu Shuji, the deputy master of the Human Palace. Since you have so many people here at the Burning Incense Pavilion this time, if you don't treat you well, I'm afraid people will say that our Xuanling royal family is not good at hospitality. The old face of Xuan Lao floating in the sky was covered with an almost crazy smile. This guy's strength may have reached the level of the middle stage of the 1-star fighting immortal. This is a troublesome thing. Old Qing felt the aura that old Zan deliberately exuded, and then his face became ugly. It doesn't matter, since you're here, no matter whether things succeed or fail, you have to fight hard. Battle. After Ling Mengsheng finished speaking, he was just about to launch an offensive, but the next moment, with the help of flames, he saw a miserable figure behind Elder Zan who was pierced by countless chains. That is, Yanqi. Seeing Yanqi, Ling Mengsheng's fist not only clenched tightly, but a powerful killing intent emerged in his heart. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 911. These beasts. Ling Mengsheng's pupils turned slightly red. Even at such a long distance, Ling Mengsheng could feel that a strange aura that eroded one's mind emerged from the jet-black chains that pierced through the flames. At this time, Yanqi's clothes were already out of shape, and his hair actually grew 3 meters away for the first time in the world. His whole body was covered by hair, and he couldn't see anything else. It was extremely sloppy. Mengsheng, seemingly feeling Rimusheng's excitement, Zan Muqing hurriedly took a step forward to hold Rimusheng, and then spoke, filled with worry. Don't worry, for you and your 2 daughters, I won't be brave this time. I will go back alive. Looking at the people around him, the madness in Rimusheng's eyes was temporarily suppressed. When Zan Muqing heard the words, he felt a little relieved, because he was very aware of Ling Mengsheng's temper, and Yanqi had a kindness for Ling Mengsheng. Achievement. So Zan Muqing is also afraid that Ling Mengsheng will not care about his life in order to save Yan Kai. When they finally reunite, I am afraid that they will be separated from each other. You'd better take care of you first. Elder Zan seemed to deliberately show Yan Kai to everyone, in order to shock everyone, and at the next moment, on the silver robe of Elder Zan, a dazzling fiery red power also appeared. Appear slowly. The fiery red power is different from the brilliance of the power of life and death, but that fiery red power can easily erode the power of life and death. It can be seen that the fiery red power is more terrifying than the power of life and death. The power of fighting immortals of the fire attribute? Feeling the power of this dazzling flame, Ling Mengsheng felt that the flow of the power of life and death in his body was slowing down, and he exclaimed directly. It is also the power of the fire attribute, but compared with the fire attribute of Xuan Lao, Ling Mengsheng's fire attribute is nothing short of nothing. The difference is naturally caused by the absolute difference in strength. Go! The next moment, the fiery red power above Xuan Lao's silver robe slowly surrounded, and then pointed at Ling Mengsheng and his party. With a flick of his finger, a powerful force slowly emerged and swept away at the crowd. Burning Sky Shield. Ling Mengsheng watched that Elder Zan attack the 6 of them with a random blow, and immediately did not dare to show any slights. On his hands, the dazzling power of life and death, black and white, was instantly displayed. An equally dazzling flame defense formed in front of everyone. The flame defense shield presents an arc, which just covers everyone in it. Small trick of carving insects. Xuan Lao watched his finger-sized flame beam whizzing away, and then Ling Mengsheng tried to stop it, and immediately smiled slightly. Elder Xuan has absolute confidence in his own strength. Although Ling Mengsheng and the others are not weak, they are at best the pinnacle of Emperor Do. This kind of strength is obviously not in the eyes of Elder Xuan. Boom boom boom. Xuan Lao's flame beam just touched the defensive shield displayed by Ling Mengsheng, and suddenly a shattering sound sounded above the flame defensive shield. Damn, so strong? Feeling this shattered flame defense shield, Qing Lao's face burst into blue, and there was intense anxiety on his eyelids, and he couldn't help jumping. Even if Elder Xuan is tyrannical, he wouldn't play like this, would he? You must know that this fellow Ling Mengsheng is a powerhouse at the pinnacle of Do Di, and he still possesses Saint Yanzi fire. He is so tyrannical that he cannot withstand such a simple blow from Elder Xuan. This Elder Xuan's strength is too terrifying. Boom boom boom. The flame beam instantly shattered Reimu Sheng's defense, and then directly hit everyone. Retreat. Ling Mengsheng also realized that his defenses could not stop Elder Xuan, and immediately snorted coldly, and directly used invisible power to retreat a few people. Bang bang bang. Elder Xuan's terrifying flame instantly hit Ling Mengsheng, and even if Ling Mengsheng had flame defense, he was directly knocked back dozens of meters by the terrifying attack, and only then did he stabilize his figure. Peeved. Perhaps it was because Elder Xuan's flame power mixed with the power of Do Xian was too tyrannical, so Rao Yu Ling Mengsheng's peak Do Emperor strength couldn't help but recognize a mouthful of blood. This immortal man is actually so powerful. Ling Mengsheng's body trembled slightly when he was shocked by Xuan Lao's attack, and said something secretly in his heart. Let's join forces. Unleash your strongest attack. This will be your last chance. Elder Xuan stared lazily at the few people below who had been smashed away by him with a random blow. His tone was full of contempt and disdain. This old guy is too mad. The two elders of heaven and earth heard the words, and immediately became slightly angry, and then they exerted all the power of life and death to the limit, obviously wanting to display the fusion of fighting skills. Humph! The old man also snorted coldly, and then he performed the most tyrannical blow all over his martial arts. And Mu Shuji and Ling Mengsheng also unleashed their most powerful blow. Only Xuan Mu Qing Bei bit his lips, and stood still, looking at Elder Xuan in the sky with some difficulty. Death-killing flames. Yan Heavenly Hand. Qingtian transforms into a virtual palm. Golden Bell Heavenly King Feng. A group of 5 people, 4 terrifying attacks that were devastating, came out directly, and then everyone exerted a little force, and suddenly burst out at the old Xuan in the sky. An ant is an ant after all. Die. Elder Xuan looked at these 4 dazzling attacks, calmly, smiled slightly, and then spoke indifferently. At the next moment, above the old Xuan's silver robe, a more dazzling flame-fighting immortal power emerged. This dazzling flame-fighting immortal power has just emerged, and suddenly the entire space has a dignified heat. Reading www. Link to youcanshu.com. And even the power of life and death within the 5 people of Ling Mengsheng were extremely powerfully suppressed. Heavenly Dry Palm. The power of the flame-fighting immortal slowly wrapped around his old palm, and he suddenly pushed hard. At that time, Xuan Lao's attack directly hit the 4 attacks that came towards him. Bang bang bang. The flame palm without any bells and whistles lightly hit the 4 dazzling power of life and death attacks, and then slapped it slightly, and the 4 attacks gathered by the dazzling power of life and death instantly shattered and turned into nothingness. At the same time, the power of fighting immortals on the flame palm, with a destructive fluctuation, the speed is skyrocketing, and it whistles directly at the 5 Ling Mengsheng. Sure enough, seeing this scene, Ling Mengsheng felt a hint of helplessness in his heart. And the other powerhouses are like Ling Mengsheng. Go to hell. Seeing his attack go towards several people, Elder Xuan's complexion also turned hideous. Their grievances between the Xuanling royal family and Fenxiang Pavilion have already been deep, and now they can kill the people of Fenxiang Pavilion. They are naturally extremely happy. And just when Elder Xuan's destructive attack was about to hit Ling Mengsheng and the others, the space in front of them broke through with a click, and a conspicuous crack appeared instantly. And with the appearance of this crack, a silver force emerged, and then the terrifying flame of destruction was also dissipated away, and the old Zan was slightly puzzled when he saw this appearance. This sudden guy? Who is it? End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 912. Kacha kacha! A sound crack formed from the huge crack in front of Reimu Sheng and the others, and then their eyes softened, because they also knew who this person was by perception. I didn't expect that they still needed to take action. It seems that I still underestimate the strong fighting immortals. Ling Mengsheng naturally noticed that the crack that suddenly appeared was their own people, and then said helplessly, "You've done a good job. It's just that Elder Zan's aura seems a little weird. Although it is the power of fighting immortals of the fire attribute, how can there be a gloomy and eerie feeling?" Qing Lao patted Ling Mengsheng on the shoulder, and then opened his mouth. "Leave the next thing to me." From the crack, an old man slowly walked out. The old man's whole body shone with extremely dazzling silver power, and silver was not like the ordinary power of life and death. Half immortal. Fenxiang Pavilion surpasses Do Di. There should be only two strong people. One is the owner of the Fenxiang Pavilion, Fen Tian, and the other is probably Zhu Jin, who is known as the Number. He was not surprised when he saw that his attack was blocked by a mysterious powerhouse, because he could break through the first 6 floors of the underground palace. If there were no powerhouses leading the team, Mr. Zan would not believe it, and immediately looked at the crack that came out of the crack with interest. The old man, "Xuanxin, I haven't seen you for a long time. I didn't expect your strength to soar to the level of the middle stage of the 1-star fighting immortal. It really surprised me." Zhu Jin just appeared, and suddenly said to Xuan Lao in the sky. His voice was full of smile, but there is a monstrous killing intent underneath that smile. "Bamboo Jin, Hugh wants to get close. The grievances between my Xuanling royal family and your Burning Incense Pavilion have long since reached the point where they cannot be resolved. Either your Burning Incense Pavilion fell, or our Xuanling emperor perished." Xuan Lao looked at Zhu Jin coldly and said, "Then let's fight. These years, the oppression of your Xuanling royal family on our Burning Incense Pavilion will be returned together today." A trace of gloom appeared in Zhu Jin's eyes, and then the dazzling silver fighting immortals erupted and swept out. "Fenshin, that old and immortal guy didn't come by himself, but let you little shrimps come to die. If that's the case, then I will unceremoniously pack you up, and then send your corpses back to the Fenxiang Pavilion. If you want to come to Fenshin, you will know that your face will be quite wonderful." Xuanxin couldn't help laughing. The voice was full of jokes. "I'm afraid you don't have the ability." Zhu Jin snorted coldly. The sky-high silver fighting immortal power directly transformed into the substantial silver thunder power, roaring out. In the silver thunder, with an extremely terrifying aura, it swept out. "A mere half immortal strong. Do you dare to be presumptuous in front of me?" Seeing the power of thunder that roared, Xuanxin's whole body was suddenly shocked, and the strength of the fighting immortals also swept out instantly, snorted coldly. At the same time, a dazzling fiery red flame appeared on Xuanxin's body, and in just a few breaths, Zhu Jin's thunder power was suppressed in his aura. "Watch out! Heavenly Lock Dragon Formation!" And as his silver thunder power was suppressed by Xuanxin, Zhu Jin was not sad but happy, and immediately in his hand, a dazzling formation scroll was suddenly thrown with extremely terrifying energy, and immediately on the scroll of the formation, an unusually powerful spiritual force emerged, and immediately shrouded Xuanxin directly. The core inscriptions on the formation scroll actually reached 15,000. This is a powerful formation that is enough to trap a 1-star fighting immortal powerhouse. As we all know, 1,000 core inscriptions are enough to trap a 1-star Do Di, the geometric increase, and 10,000 inscriptions can trap a 1-star Do Xian. Not good. Xuanxin didn't expect this Zhu Jin to be so clever at first, and when he was talking with himself, he took the opportunity to condense his spiritual power and form a formation. Boom! In just a few breaths, Zhu Jin's formation scroll immediately exploded, and immediately enveloped Zhu Jin and Xuanxin. It's just that even Zhu Jin didn't notice that, in Xuanxin's panicked expression, a hint of playfulness suddenly flashed, and it disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. "Xuanxin, this time, let the two of us make a break." Zhu Jin stood in the formation, and then he was below zero, looking at Xuanxin like a king. "Today, let me learn from you, the rumored #1 battle formation master of Zan Santian. Is it as powerful as the legend? Watch out, Tian Xuan Demon Slayer Finger. Xuanxin's cold voice just finished speaking, and suddenly the power of dazzling flames burst out on the silver robes all over his body, and then Xuanxin raised his old fingers, facing the bamboo in the center of the formation. Jin pointed at will. Crash! Immediately, the dazzling flame power around Xuanxin was like a terrifying beam of light that pierced through the heavens and the earth, with the aura of destroying the dry and the rotten, directly forcing the bamboo embers. The attack of the immortal fighter is really tyrannical. However, this kind of attack, for me in the formation, can't cause a killer move. Zhu Jin was vigilant, and then the power of silver thunder spread slowly around his body, and the momentum was also not lost to Xuanxin's. The terrifying thunder and lightning surged out in an instant. Lei King Taibi, Zhu Jin snorted coldly, and then the power of thunder all over his body directly gathered into a huge giant net, and then swept away towards the profound heart at the bottom of the formation. It's good to come. Seeing this, Xuanxin smiled slightly. Although Xuanxin knew that the two of them were still on the 7th floor of the underground palace at this time, they were trapped in the formation of bamboo ember. This formation spread a hot and thunderous aura, making Xuanxin slightly vigilant. Obviously, there is a lot of pressure on Xuanxin. However, Xuanxin had a plan in his heart, so he just let Zhu Jin display the formation without stopping him, because Xuanxin wanted to completely defeat Zhu Jin under the name of Xuan Santian's first battle formation master. Killing a person is the best way to escape. What Xuanxin wants to do is to make Zhu Jin lose all self-confidence and become a self-deprecating waste. For Xuanxin, there is nothing more maddening than destroying a person's inner xinxing. Boom boom boom. Two terrifying attacks rippling directly in the formation. Following this terrifying attack, Zhu Jin and Xuanxin both stood alone in the formation in midair, while the other stood on the ground, allowing the two attacks to emit terrifying fluctuations without any movement. Zhu Jin's strength is getting more and more terrifying. The old man who stepped back heard the words, his eyelids kept saying because of the terrifying fluctuations in the formation. Obviously, at this time, the aftermath of the formation might be able to easily kill a strong Do Di. Don't worry, Elder Zhu has not used his strongest means yet. Ling Mengsheng smiled slightly. I don't know who will win this battle in the end. Hearing this, the two elders of heaven and earth immediately smiled. Because of the two people in front of them, one is the previous Xuanling king of the Xuanling royal family, Xuanxin in the middle stage of the one-star Do Xian, and the other is Zhu Jin, a half-immortal who is known as the Number. It's hard to say who will kill the deer. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 913. Let's do it. Otherwise, with this little strength, you can't get out of here today. Although Xuanxin had a deep grudge with Fenxiang Pavilion, she had to be serious when facing Zhu Jin. Not to mention anything else, it's just because Zhu Jin is Xuanxin's first battle formation master. This title alone is enough to make Xuanxin solemn. I think you have forgotten the power of my first battle formation master. Alright, I'll let you recall it today. Zhu Jin smiled slightly in the face of Xuanxin's ridicule. This time is different from the past. Xuanxin snorted coldly. Xuanxin's strength was far from the time when he was fighting immortal, but he suffered a lot of losses in the Zhu Jin formation, so now he wants to defeat Zhu Jin in the formation, so that he can get back the old days for himself. Field. ZZ. In the Tianxia Dragon formation, strands of silver thunder with thick fingers continued to float out. Obviously, the core of this formation was the power of thunder. The power of this thunder is different from the ordinary Dan Thunder Tribulation. The power it has is probably enough to easily kill any Do Di powerhouse. And when Xuanxin's pupils saw this thunder, it also became strange. I'm afraid this formation is not so simple. With Xuanxin's perception, he naturally knew the horror of this formation, and immediately became vigilant, because from these silver thunders, he smelled a dangerous aura. It can make him feel dangerous even if he is a dignified fighting fairy, which is enough to show the power of this formation. It seems that the battle will be resolved quickly, otherwise the other powerhouses of the Xuanling royal family will be attracted, and then the plan to save Yanqi will fail. Zhu Jin glanced at the place where Yanqi was bound, and suddenly found the formation. Outside, a certain void trembled slightly, but at this time in the formation, I didn't pay too much attention. Heavenly Locked Dragon Formation. A soft hum suddenly resounded through the sky in this formation full of thunder power. Heavenly Locks. After a while, Zhu Jin was whistling, and then, at a speed that was visible to the naked eye, dazzling silver thunderbolts all over his body turned into silver chains. Above the silver chains, a terrifying thunder force that was enough to collapse the world was slowly born. Xuanxin, accept the sanction. Zhu Jin sneered, then waved his palm vigorously, and the dazzling silver chains all over his body made a choking sound, with an ear-piercing cold glow, and swept away directly at Xuanxin. The silver chain with the extremely powerful lightning restraint force swept away towards Xuanxin, the terrifying aura. I am afraid that the average Do Emperor peak powerhouse can't stop it. The silver chain silently slid across the sky above the formation, hitting Xuanxin's body directly, but no harsh or intense sparks were born. When the silver chain hit Xuanxin, it seemed to be given to Xuanxin by an extremely powerful force. Block down. What? Zhu Jin felt that his powerful attack was directly stopped by Xuanxin, and immediately frowned in surprise. However, when he first felt the mysterious power in Xuanxin's body, Zhu Jin had another feeling of déjà vu. Is it an illusion? Zhu Jin murmured and then stared at Xuanxin for Zaidu. As for Fen Tian, who was hiding in the dark, there was a trace of pain at the corner of his mouth, and then he whispered to himself, "It seems that these years, although Yan Kai has not been swallowed by the Xuanling royal family, the Xuanling royal family may have found something. The Means got a lot of Saint Yanzi fire from him. These beasts, forcibly pulling away the fire of the holy flame, although it will not cause fatal injuries, it has a great impact on the source of the holy flame, and that kind of destruction is extremely painful for Yanqi." After Fen Tian finished speaking, his expression changed. There was a flash of killing intent in the middle, and then it was quiet. And as Fen Tian burst out with a breath, in the black river outside the formation, a strange black figure also whispered, "Is it an illusion? Why is there an aura stronger than me just now?" Although it passed by in a flash, it really appeared here. The one who spoke was the ghost of the Dark Knight that Xuanxin didn't know what to pay. At this time, the Dark Knight ghost was hiding behind the statue of the ancestor of the Xuanling royal family in the Black River, and with his hidden aura, it was not easy to be discovered. As for Yan Kai, it was hidden by some power, making it difficult for everyone to find it. After a while, Zhu Jin immediately turned his gaze to the formation where Xuanxin was. At this moment, Xuanxin had a smile on his face. Above the silver robe, the silver chain issued by Zhu Jin came to an abrupt stop, motionless, as if something blocked it. The next moment, Xuanxin's face turned hideous, and then he laughed suddenly. An extremely hot breath instantly emerged in the formation, and an extremely hot flame power emerged in front of him. The flame was fiery red, even if it was only a trace, but the fluctuations emanating from it made Zhu Jin slightly surprised. On this asterisk Xuanxin, how can there be the power of Sheng Yanzuo? Ling Mengsheng, who was outside the seventh layer formation of the underground palace, stared blankly at Xuanxin who was in the formation, the fire in front of Xuanxin. The red flame was exactly the same as the Saint Yanzi fire that he possessed in his body. Wang buzzing. At this time, within Ling Mengsheng's body, the Saint Yanzuo also exuded an extremely restless emotion. However, Ling Mengsheng knew that although the Saint Yanzi fire in his body was not small, it was undoubtedly much weaker than the Saint Yanzi fire in Xuanxin's body in front of him. Break it for me. In the next instant, Xuanxin's whole body burst into flames, and the seemingly ferocious silver chain instantly turned into powder like a moth to a flame. Bamboo embers. You are very strong. But in order to repay the loss I suffered in your hands last time, this time, I will unreservedly destroy your prestige as the so-called #1 battle formation master in Zon Santian. Suffer to death. Xuanxin's face suddenly turned hideous immediately on her cheeks, an extremely crazy wave also emerged. Bang bang bang. The next moment, above Xuanxin's silver robe, the power of Do Xian disappeared without a trace, and it was replaced by the power of Saint Yanzi's fire. The fiery red Saint Yanzi's fire power just appeared, and suddenly the entire formation space became restless, as if it would collapse at any time. Boom boom boom. The terrifying power of Sheng Yanzi's fire instantly shattered Zhu Jin's silver chains. Despicable. This is clearly the power of Yanqi. Seeing this, Zhu Jin immediately became alert, and there was a hint of hatred in his pupils. Obviously, Although Yanqi has not completely fallen after being imprisoned by the Xuanling royal family for so many years, Yanqi is not feeling well. The body of Yanqi is the holy flame. Even if it is now converted to human beings, it is the body of holy flame. Although the powerhouses of the Xuanling royal family have no way to take him, they can't swallow him directly, but it is still possible to take some of the power of the holy flame from him. This time, let me see who can save you. Die. Zhan Xin's smile was extremely frantic, and there was an unusually hot fiery red in the pupils and all over his body, and then with the supreme flame power, he coldly despised Zhu Jin, while Zhu Jin only I feel that a wave of death slowly spreads out. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 914. The holy flame fire on this guy is too strong. Ling Meng was born outside the formation, and also felt a sense of fear from the heavenly chain dragon formation, which was so powerful that it could trap the fighting immortals. Although Zhu Jin's current strength is only at the half-immortal level, but he has truly stepped into the immortal level battle formation division, and I am afraid that he will also have the power to fight against some strong people in the early stage of the one-star battle of immortals. It's just that it's still a bit reluctant for Zhan Xin, who has the holy flame fire and is in the middle stage of one-star fighting immortal. In the formation, Zhan Xin's pupils shone brightly with fiery red flame fluctuations, and above the silver robe, an extremely hot fluctuation also slowly radiated. On the other hand, Zhu Jin twitched the huge thunder power in the formation and injected it into his body, because he also knew that this profound heart might decide the outcome with one move. Holy flame fire, Wu Xianzu. Zhan Xin was too lazy to talk nonsense with Zhu Jin, her pupils shrank tightly, and at the same time, the holy flame hidden fire within her body was instantly exposed in front of everyone. A fiery red flame slowly rose from Xuanxin's body, and with the appearance of this flame, the entire space suddenly felt a heavy feeling, as if it had collapsed. Under Zhan Xin's shout, the fiery red flame instantly turned into a red bead no more than the size of a dragon's eye. The red beads seem to be small, but the energy contained in them may be able to kill the real fighting immortals. Crash! With Zhan Xin's attack, the Dragon Lock formation became chaotic that day, as if it would shatter at any time. Fighting immortals are really not half-immortals, but they are comparable. But I still want to give it a try. If it's successful, then I can really step into that realm, and even if it doesn't work, there's still that old guy Fen Tian. After Zhu Jin finished speaking, his pupils also became crazy, and then without waiting for Zhan Xin's attack to launch, he immediately urged initiating the power of life and death in his body, adding the power of silver thunder, and with the aid of the increase of the formation, for a while, Zhu Jin's breath even vaguely touched the real level of fighting immortals. Go! No phase beads. Burning. After Zhan Xin prepared his attack, he spoke slowly, and his voice contained extremely crazy confidence. Because Xuanxin knew clearly, although the Xuanling royal family did not successfully find a way to swallow Yanqi, they also found other ways to take away some of the holy flame power in Yanqi's body, which is the current Shengyanjihuo. Heavenly Lock Dragon Formation, and Zhu Jin looked at the fire-red bead that slowly rose from the formation's ground Xuanxin, and a smell of death slowly emerged from it, but Zhu Jin didn't mean to be afraid at all. With a confident smile, he raised his head to the sky and let out a long roar. Suddenly, all the power in the entire formation rushed towards Zhu Jin, and then in front of everyone's eyes, the power of life and death in Zhu Jin's body and the silver thunder gathered in the formation. The power of energies fused together, and the speed was extremely fast. In a short period of time, it turned into a silver dragon with a length of more than tens of meters. Above the silver dragon, the power of thunder surrounds it, which is quite terrifying, and in that pupil, one black, one white and two mysterious energies surround it, which is clearly the power of life and death. Boom boom boom! The silver dragon just appeared, and the formation was instantly shattered, but at this time Zhu Jin couldn't care about it so much, and roared away directly at the phaseless bead of his profound heart. Tianlong, break it for me! Zhu Jin's pupils were bloodshot, and then he controlled the destructive dragon that formed around him. It can be seen that Zhu Jin spent a lot of energy in order to perform this blow. As soon as the words fell, the power of thunder around the silver dragon continued to flicker, as if it was provoked, and the power of life and death in the pupils suddenly emerged, and then under the surprised eyes of everyone, he directly opened his huge mouth. The speed suddenly increased to the limit, and the attack against Zhan Xin was swept away. The mere power of life and death also wants to fight with my holy flame power? You're just looking for a dead end. Seeing this scene, Zhan Xin's mouth naturally filled with mockery. My own Saint Yanzuo is the most powerful among the Xuanling royal family who took it from Yanqi, so Xuanxin has self-confidence. Old Zhu, what are you doing? The group of people who had been hiding in the hidden place on the 7th floor of the underground palace couldn't help being surprised when they saw the two of them. It seems that although Lao Ju's strength has not completely reached the level of Do Xian, he will not easily admit defeat because of his reputation as the first Do Xian in Xuanxin. Xuan Lao seemed to be aware of it, and immediately spoke. I don't think so. Although Banxian is very close to Dushan, there is still a big gap between the two. In my opinion, Zhu Lao is doing this because he wants to use Xuanxin as his stepping stone. After all, there is only a real life and death battle. Only then can a person's potential be stimulated. Tian Lao on the side had sleepy eyes, as if he could see through Zhu Jin's thoughts. Tian Lao, you mean? At this time, Ling Mensheng, who was holding Zhan Muqing in his arms, couldn't help feeling, and then nodded slightly. Break and then stand, Tian Lao said softly, and then there was no further text. It seems that Zhu Jin is planning to sink the boat. When Xuan Lao heard the words, he naturally knew something, so he stopped talking. And as everyone's discussion had just ended, the battle in the sky was drawing to a close. Boom, boom, boom. The silver dragon opened its huge mouth, trying to swallow the flame bead into its body, and use the power of life and death and the power of the silver thunder of the formation to resolve it. However, it is obvious that this Saint Yanzi fire is displayed in the hands of a real fighting immortal powerhouse, and that kind of power is not something that ordinary people can resist. Hulala! The flame bead and the silver dragon just touched, and a fierce spark erupted in midair. Even the entire dark void was illuminated extremely brightly. The silver dragon opened its huge mouth and seemed to devour the flame red beads, but surprisingly, no matter how bamboo ash motivated his power of life and death, or even the power of silver thunder, the flame red beads remained indifferent, and as time passed, as time went on, the aura of the silver dragon's stalemate in midair suddenly weakened, but looking at the fiery red beads, it was full of aura. This time, it's time to end. After Zhan Xin finished speaking, there was a hint of killing in the corner of his mouth, and before Zhu Jin could react, Ku Lao's palm suddenly clenched. And with Zhan Xin's move, the fiery red beads in the air suddenly exploded, and an indescribable wave of fiery fire swept out instantly. Crash! And Zhu Jin was at the center of the attack at this time, so I'm afraid it's bad luck. However, no matter how hot the fire wave was, when it touched the Black River on the 7th floor of the underground palace, there was a sound of extinguishing. Obviously, the Black River was also extremely mysterious. Mysterious heart is broken. It seems that this time, your life, Ifenshin has taken over. And just when Xuanxin felt arrogant that he was victorious, the scorching fire at the center of the explosion turned out to be at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Disappeared, and at the center of the explosion, two figures slowly appeared. Fen Tian and Zhan Xin looked up, her pupils shrank rapidly, and a figure that was so familiar that she could no longer be familiar slowly appeared in her line of sight. End of this chapter.